Hello, my friends. A peace deal as soon as this week could be achieved between Russia and Ukraine, according to the information published by legacy media. They refer to official sources in the White House. And definitely there were secret agreements between the United States and Russia to reach some sort of the deal. So I have to postpone the Frontlines update a little bit because those are the breaking news we have to discuss. Let's go. So not just Politica, Reuters, but also Axios reported about it. United States secretly drafting new plan to end Ukraine war. And it's gonna be a Putin's plan, believe me. Well, at least that is what Donald Trump's administration is pushing Ukraine for. The negotiations were ongoing between two of those gentlemen. You already know those. That's Vitkov and Dmitriev. And I would say that we are back again in the beginning of 2025, the beginning of Trump's presidency. Then he wants to have a deal with Russia and put aside all of the interests of Ukraine and European Union. Because according to official information leaked, the peace plan contains 28 of the points, and the new plan was created without direct involvement of Ukraine and without consultations with European allies. So we know that it was just about Russian demands for Ukraine to give up on territories, Donbass, Zaporizhia, Kherson, easily. Because also, according to the information published, Dmitriev was very satisfied with the plan. It's not just a ceasefire agreement, it is a proposal to resolve the Ukrainian conflict and also at the same time restore American-Russian relations and address Russia's security concerns. It is a broader framework to finally ensure lasting peace in Europe and not just in Ukraine. Yeah, then I thought that, okay, Vitkov is not involved any longer, that's Marco Rubio who ensured the sanctions which were applied on Russia. Now it's everything upside down once again. Vitkov is in the deal, and they're behind the curtains. Negotiations to fulfill Russians' demands, and there is now the pressure on Ukraine, also involving those corruption scandals. I'm not saying that those were not happened. No, definitely part of the Ukrainian government, great part, is corrupt, but United States is using that corruption as the lever to press Zelensky and to force Ukraine to basically capitulate. Because I'm sure that among Russian demands in those 28 points, there is denazification, demilitarization, giving Russia the territories of Donbass and the other Russian bullshit. Because Russian officials themselves, they said many times that they will stop the war only after reaching all of those goals of the special military operation, which they started back in 2022. But Ukraine should never agree on those demands, of course. It would be basically a treason, but the United States, of course, they will try to manipulate Ukraine with this newly discovered corruption scandal, and we understand that FBI office is out there in Nabu as well, so Nabu is working together with FBI. I'm not saying that it is wrong or something about that investigation is wrong, but for the United States, it's a good lever to act on Ukraine. They are using this scandal in their favor. Just today, a new information was published around the Ukrainian Naftogaz company, also the energy sector of Ukraine. So Nabu is commencing the searches in the offices of the building, and they suspect the director of Naftogaz, Vitaly Borov, to be involved in corruption schemes. That's the new part of investigation. However, Nabu officially stated that they are not disclosing the information relative to the military sector for now because it could harm Ukrainian national security interests. And potentially, if the corruption is out there in the military sphere, and I think it was, I personally think it was, well, it will create a huge bombshell for Zelensky's presidency. So there is, again, conspiracy theory, which is more or less looks real, that Vitkov and Donald Trump's administration will continue to push Zelensky to give up territories and to agree on Russian demands, and in that case, they're gonna influence Nabu not to uncover everything of that. That's the huge blackmail. But if Zelensky agrees on that, it's gonna be a double treason, because first, the corruption during the war is treason, and giving up Ukrainian territories or Ukrainian interests, basically capitulation. It's called capitulation. It's also a treason, so there's going to be double treason. So I think Zelensky will not agree on that one. And by the time I'm recording the video, there are no official allegations against Zelensky personally. But we see that in Zelensky's party, the Servant of People, well, there is uncertainty, and some of the representatives of that party, they're calling Zelensky to dismiss Andriy Yermak because there is the high probability that he also was involved in corruption. And I'm also saying it like that there is the high probability for Andriy Yermak, who is like this great cardinal of Ukrainian government. We'll see if Zelensky gonna protect him or not, but he will be uncovered by NABU. It's 100%. I'm not sure about Zelensky, but about Yermak, he is already in those recordings. I listen to them sometimes. They're published by NABU and Alibaba. That's the nickname of Yermak, already published, but without direct allegations for now towards him. So we'll see where this scandal leads. But behind the curtain negotiations between Russia and the USA only are ongoing, and they say, those American officials, they say that Ukraine should accept what is agreed between United States and Russia, because Ukraine has no other choice because of the crisis with manpower. Lots of the people leaving Ukrainian military. The last month it was 21,000 people. Ukraine continued to lose territories, for example, what is happening in Zaporizhia Oblast, and also corruption scandal. Yeah, so three levers to act on Ukraine by United States of America and Russia. So I would say it's the perfect storm for Ukraine, partially created by our allies like United States of America in cooperation with Russia. It sounds kind of sad, but actually it looks like that. I think that Vitkov and Dmitriev negotiated that NABU documents will be uncovered just right now. Then Russia pushes very hard on the front lines. It is, I think those are coordinated efforts between Russian military, then they start to push really hard in Pokrovsk, in Zaporizhia, and that NABU now start to uncover those documents with the help of FBI. There are top Pentagon officials visiting Kiev today, like, for example, Army Secretary Dan Driscoll, and he's a friend of J.D. Vance. They're gonna meet with Zelensky, speak about peace and tech sharing, because they want to obtain drone technologies from Ukraine. That could be the lever of Ukraine to act, maybe, on the United States of America partially, I don't know. Well, later on, the delegation will meet with Russian representatives, probably in Russia. By the way, the promised meeting between Zelensky and Vitkov was cancelled. Well, there is so much information coming about those meetings. At first it was planned as the meeting between Vitkov and Yermak, then it was cancelled. Then it was the meeting between Vitkov and Zelensky, was cancelled again. And now they say that Vitkov will meet with Umerov, who may not return to Ukraine, because he could be also involved in this corruption scheme. He says that he is going to Ukraine, but we'll see, yeah, in the coming days. So everything is so messed up with everything of that, but in general, there are consultations between the United States and Russia on Ukraine. So Vitkov is again ruling this process, and we understand who Vitkov really is. And guys, just for you to understand, Putin will not end this war. He might ceasefire for some months, maybe 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, for Donald Trump to announce that he stopped the war. Then Russia will blame Ukraine for violation of the ceasefire, and they're gonna restart the war once again. There are multiple of the reasons for Putin to continue this war, unfortunately, my friends. And we see that after all, United States, they want to make a deal with Russia, because also the great part of the deal between Vitkov and Dmitriev, as it was announced, is the business partnership between USA and Russia. Maybe USA want to make friendship with Russia to act against China. I don't know. That's maybe their plan, but it will never happen. But it will never be real, because Russia and China, they are strategic partners. Vitkov knows nothing about the war. Vitkov knows nothing about Russia. Trump also said that himself personally on one of the meetings, I think in Tel Aviv. Then he was speaking about the peace deal between Israel and Gaza that also doesn't really work. And do you really believe that the current White House administration may achieve something? The United States, they don't have any sort of the lever to act on Russia. Putin is Putin. Putin wants to eliminate Ukraine as a state. That's what he says in his interviews. Damn it. Again, we are back. Nikita Patraev, who is one of the leaders of the Servant of People fraction, says that there could be a new coalition formed from the Ukrainian parties to represent Ukrainians in parliament. So here we are speaking about the possible end of the president's majority in the parliament. So it could be also the end of Ukrainian government. I mean, the end of Ukrainian ministry. So now parliament will create the new coalition. Probably, again, now it's just the start. And they will vote for ministers, and president will have to sign everything of that. Probably it's gonna be like the way out from the crisis. At least Potorayev wrote about it. To resume the trust of Ukrainian people, new coalition should be formed. And Russia also increases its terror on Ukraine. Today there was the strike on multiple of Ukrainian cities, including the city of Ternopil, Kharkiv. A residential building was hit. In this particular building, 20 civilians were unalived. Just imagine this number, 20 civilians. So Ukrainian society is pressed from every side. It's definitely the perfect storm that is created for Ukraine, and the only variant for Ukraine to get out from everything of that is army reform, and the government reform should be conducted. Otherwise, yeah, it's going to be very, very tough. Well, we cannot really influence those strikes coming from Russia, but what Ukraine may do is to improve its army command, army reforms. Definitely it should be done as soon as possible. All of Ukrainian volunteers are calling about it. Well, the good thing, the only positive news coming, that United States will reinforce Ukrainian air defense. Yeah, we have this one. State Department has approved a possible foreign military sale to Ukraine of Patriot air defense system, sustainment and related equipment for an estimated cost of $105 million to upgrade the systems from M901 launchers to M903, crucially needed to intercept Russian ballistic missiles. So hopefully Ukraine will get this approval, but again, it's not the military aid, it's the sale. Ukraine purchases that stuff using European money, unfortunately, and Europeans are not even involved in negotiations. Oh my god. Yeah, now it's been confirmed that those officials from Pentagon, their duty is to get Ukraine familiar with those points of agreement between United States and Russia, and later on they will proceed to Moscow for further negotiations with the Russian side. It is called the deal behind the curtains, to flush down Ukraine and to basically capitulate it for Russia, to have business relations between United States and Russia. What I may say that this deal is nonsense, and it will not be accepted by Ukrainians. Not just by Zelensky, but by Ukrainians, of course, and by Europe too. It's one more delusional attempt of Trump's administration to what? To have good relations with Russia, for Russia not to release Epstein files, because probably it's the only place where those files really could be leaked from. The war will continue, it's 100%. This deal really doesn't matter, it just shows how delusional White House administration really is. Meanwhile, Russian puppet in Europe, Orban, criticized EU spend bill of 135 billion support plan for Ukraine as a mountain of debt. So Hungary is against using Russian frozen assets to support Ukraine, and Hungary is against using European money to support Ukraine. Choose at least one Orban. Well, for him personally, if Russia occupies Ukraine, it's going to be a fantastic variant. But Orban, in a few months, you will not see those pictures any longer. Orban will be out completely from Hungarian politics because he will lose elections unless he rigs those, and it will go to riots and so on. So we'll see how the situation in Hungary may evolve this spring, but for now, TISA, the opposition party, has majority of support of people. It is popular, way more popular than Orban's party. Oh boy, Ukraine is currently in such position that it must accept the American peace plan. It means Russian, Putin's peace plan, yeah? No matter what the terms are, no matter what, you see? Capitulate, accept it. Politica cites the sources in the White House. Jeez. By the way, guys, I have another channel. It's called Captain Dennis. I call it a trash channel. I film there about everything, but recently I touched the topic of Epstein files in 1, 2, 3, 4 videos, so you may check that out. It's kind of interesting what just happened in the Congress, in Senate, how they support the release of the Epstein files, but finally, I don't see that Donnie will release those. For now, Pam Bondi has the right to censor and redact those files, which is absolute crazy. So Donnie will not release those. It's like long story short, just for you to understand. And guys, I think that after all of those sanctions applied on Russian oil and gas by White House administration, it is first of all to achieve the own sales of oil and gas to, for example, India, or for European allies to purchase more American liquid gas. It's not about Russia or Ukraine. Donald Trump is using the war to achieve his own personal goals. Ukraine will even purchase American gas via Greece pipeline. Yeah, guys, those were the breaking news. We'll see where it leads, but my prediction to nowhere. Those negotiations between America and Russia, they're for nothing. Ukraine and Europe will never agree on that bullshit presented. Yes, not even presented, but we know what Russia may agree on, yeah? Yeah, with the next update, I'm gonna speak about the front lines, and not only in a few hours, just wait for it. And my friends, thank you again for your kind support on Patreon and also on membership of the channel. The link for my Patreon is in the video description right below. On membership, you can just press the join button somewhere over here. Thank you so much for making my job and this content possible. My friends, if you don't have the opportunity to support me financially, you might just press like to this channel and subscribe for it. That's how you propel the video in YouTube algorithms. Thank you so much for that as well. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.